The Hungarian Grand Prix is here. Here's what we know after FP1. Danny Ric is back and Sergio Perez started the worst way possible. The track is moist like a towelette, so we don't know how fast Max's upgrades are because we'll never know with Sergio. Aston Martin's gonna have to show up, and McLaren's new package can tackle multiple tracks? I'm Andrew, welcome to the pit lane. Here we are for the Hungarian Grand Prix race predictions. FP1 just ended. Sergio Perez started the worst way possible. Sergio, my boy, Danny Ric is back. I know there's a lot of pressure, but to put your back tire off on your first push lap and total your car is not what needed to happen. After FP1, it looks like the Mercedes power plants are dominating, rounding out the full top 5. Mind you, obviously wet conditions, so we'll see what happens. The Red Bull upgrades are here, and we don't know what they're going to do. Let's be real. The inlet is much narrower, so I think what they're going for is a broader surface area on the side pods, creating more downforce from the side pods themselves instead of relying on the floor. And then all of a sudden, boom, Sergio wrecks. The stewards pick the car up with a crane. The weekend you bring your upgrades, everybody sees everything. I feel like this is how F1 is trying to level the playing fields. Put a tinfoil hat on me. This is suspect. There's no reason that it had to be craned up like that. But it was more so where the pictures were taken from, in front of the car. Whoever took the pictures is standing right underneath the front wing, taking a picture down the front of the car. You get to see the floor, you get to see the new side pod designs. Everybody sees everything, and Red Bull is probably furious. I'm spitting for them. Fernando famously a couple weeks ago stated that Aston will have a podium every single race from that point. That has not happened in any way, shape, or form. They do look stronger this weekend, and the Hungaroring seems like it would be a track that the Aston Martin would excel at, but we'll see. McLaren did have the pace today, caveat again with the wet session. So we'll see what happens when it starts to dry out. If we have a wet race tomorrow, then all of what I'm saying right now goes out the window because water is the biggest equalizer. So getting into the race predictions, we're just going to get the easiest one out of the way. Pole, Max. No ifs, ands, or buts. Faulty upgrades and everybody's seeing them or not. I know Mercedes did well here last year. There's just no stopping Max in that Red Bull with his new upgrades. Let's be real. Those upgrades weren't for Sergio. So my top 5 predictions, Max, obviously. P2, I think George Russell is going to have a repeat performance. We only care about P2 at this point. It's one of the more exciting races in motorsports right now. So I'm going to go with Russell P2, Fernando Alonso P3. Aston Martin needs to show out, and Fernando is going to want to put his money where his mouth is. And I think P3 is a solid comeback for this week. Obviously, Stroll's ahead of him in the free practices right now, but I mean, it's Stroll. Trying to predict when he decides to perform is like trying to win the lottery these days. P4, I'm going to go with Oscar Piastri. Oscar has the new upgrades now. Lando last race had the full upgrades. Oscar did not have the new front wing. I want a shock performance from this young man. Very quiet individual, but speaks very loudly on the track with his racing. And P5, we're going to go with Lewis Hamilton. Why? Because I'm just going to go with it. Oh, talking about the teams and their performances. Daniel Ricciardo is back on the Formula One grid in the AlphaTauri. All smiles the entire free practice. This man loves one thing and one thing only, and that is driving. That being said, the AlphaTauri is said to have the same kind of driving issues that the McLaren did last year, and it feels like it's driving on a knife's edge. I think a win for AlphaTauri this weekend is to be P11, 12, or 13. I think that should be the goal, and I think that's the ceiling. And I think FP2 for Danny Ric is also pole position for him, especially coming in AlphaTauri. Haas is not as bad as they have been. I think that they've taken the step up from where they were as a full back marker to being in the mix with Alfa Romeo, AlphaTauri, and themselves. Sometimes Alpine on a bad weekend. I think we're going to see a pretty decent battle at some point during this race between Hulk and Danny Ric. Alfa Romeo, I mean, I don't know what to say. Valtteri, you're my boy Blue. It just does not feel that they've given him a car, and it kind of feels like Alfa Romeo's given up at this point. They're not going to be... Aren't they getting replaced at the end of the season? So why would they give a fuck? Alpine is going to do Alpine thing. Hopefully soon, the injection of Ryan Reynolds and Rob Mclaren will start to turn the team morale around. A couple weeks ago, the CEO of Alpine famously said basically that Otmar needs to get his stuff together or he's taking his stuff to the road. Will that happen? I don't know. I personally think it's all posturing, but if Alpine hasn't been happy, who says they're not out in the next few years? I know Renault's been on the grid for X how long, I don't know. But at the same time, if the company itself is getting this frustrated with the team, why would they just not make a ton of money and sell it? Bringing in Ryan and Rob is definitely a PR and financial move that Alpine felt the need to make to revamp their image. Ferrari, I'll give them in the top 10. They just need to figure their strategy out. Nobody knows what's happening with them. Something, but it's not good in any way, shape, or form. I think a solid performance for Williams this weekend as well would be P9. I think that would be right where they need to be, especially since this track is slower and Williams has been famous for having a slippery car, just amazing straight line speed, and apparently as wide as the track so they can defend whatever position that they're in. But the injection of their new team principal has turned the team completely around, so I could be completely wrong. So my biggest surprise going into this weekend is how dominant Red Bull is going to be. This new upgrade package is going to bring a quarter of a second to their pace, 0.25, which is insane compared to their pace that they have now. It's already a rocket ship. What's faster than a rocket ship? A wormhole? It's a wormhole machine. That's what it is at this point. And that's just what they've calculated so far. They haven't even seen the car fully on track yet, thanks Sergio. Once they get it dialed in, that quarter of a second can easily go to half a second. It's not even close. And that's why I think it's so suspicious that the car was taken up on a crane and there was a photographer right there. My biggest disappointment is going to be Daniel Ricciardo, and that's because he's in the AlphaTauri and he's just not going to be able to do as well as I want him to do. I want a win for this man. If he cracks the top 10, sign him into the Red Bull now. Just swap him and Sergio. And my crazy prediction for the race, and for some reason FP1 is reinforcing this, is that Daniel Ricciardo may out-qualify Sergio Perez. Will it happen? I don't know. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Again, thank you everybody for checking out our Hungarian Grand Prix race predictions. I'm Andrew with the Pit Lane. Hit the subscribe button, drop a like for us. We appreciate it. Enjoy the race. Bye-bye!